There is a darkness upon the sea. These tranquil waters betray the horrors that have unfolded in the dark Caribbean, and a constant state of war has spawned a new breed of outlaw, the pirates. But fouler things than men plague these waters. And that's the focus of the new Pirate Borg starter set. Get ready, me landlubbers, because we're going to take a first look inside this chest of treasure right after this. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, we are going to dive on in and take a first look at the Pirate Borg starter set from Limithron and Free League Publishing. This is arriving in stores in early March, and it carries an MSRP of $49.99. which will include the PDFs. Now, if you want to get the PDFs alone, you can do so for $19.99. Got to be honest, I have not seen the starter set in its entirety over on Drive-Thru RPG yet. I have seen the player's handbook for $9.99 in PDF. So I would take a guess, we're probably pretty close to seeing the starter set in PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG. Now, having said that, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the starter set for Pirate Borg. First thing we'll do is get rid of the shrink wrap. Now, my friends over at Limithron and Free League Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important that you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the booklets inside and the handouts and maps and such, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find inside this starter set. Keep in mind, there are going to be some spoilers ahead. Even though I just took the shrink wrap off of this box, I know as we flip on through the adventure booklet, you're going to see some spoilers. So I want to warn you right up front. All right, let's take a peek at the back here. Now, of course, I opened up this first look with some information off the back of the box. So I was reading a little bit of the flavor text here. As far as the box itself, as you can see, there is loads of stuff contained within. I'm super excited to take a peek at this because I did have an opportunity to see this up close at Gamehole Con last year. It is now out after having a fantastic crowdfunding run. So let's crack this on open, see what we've got inside. We've got a couple of dry erase markers I see right off the bat. Got some cards, got dice, booklets. Look at all of these items inside. We're going to dive on in. We're going to take a peek at these in a few moments. It's like we get a little bit of a Game Master screen on that as well as this. That's pretty cool. I actually have Game Master screen. It arrived as well. We're going to be taking a peek at this when I take a first look at Down Among the Dead. Yes, all of this just arrived. So we're going to be taking a peek at some Pirate Borg goodness this week. Strangely enough, I did not receive Cabin Fever. For whatever reason, I did not receive the Cabin Fever source book. All right, so what we're going to do is take a look at some of the extras first, and then we will dive on into the booklets. So it looks like we've got some equipment cards or ship cards. Yep, with our stat blocks on them as well. Very nice. So we've got the Naval Combat Crew actions. as well as repair, drop anchor, weigh anchor, ram, do something else. Are these bestiary cards? I think so. Infernal Pelican, the Bilge Rat Zombie, and stat blocks there too. Once again, we're not going to look at all of these because I don't want to spoil some of the surprises and the excitement you'll have as you open up your own copy of the starter set. It's like we've got some images here too. Merfolk Ghost, Necro Jelly. Very cool. Oh, looks like a magic item or an item of some sort. If you're not overly familiar with Pirate Borg, it does utilize the mechanics from Mirkberg, and it is my absolute favorite of the board games that are out there. Now, I will point out I have not had an opportunity to check out every single third-party board game that has arrived, but those from Free League Publishing, this is my absolute favorite. I think Pirate Borg is a blast. All right, here's our dice. So we got a couple of nice chunky 20-siders. Look at this. 4 6-siders. I always love seeing that. Love seeing 4 6-siders when we get a bunch of dice. It's just silly when you get a set of dice and there's 1 6-sided die. So very, very nice. There's our percentiles, 10-siders, our 12, our 8, our 4, which is not the pyramid shape. And then I believe this is supposed to be a 2-sider, flipping the coin, right? And these are cut really well and nice. These are really nice dice. So that is part of the starter set. I believe we've got some tokens here. Yeah, we've actually got a few punch boards of tokens. So these are the various, I think these are NPCs here, or they might just be by class from the book. So I think these are going to be NPCs. We've got some red coats there. But if you're not overly familiar with Pirate Borg, it is a horror game with pirates. So it is the equivalency of Pirates of the Caribbean as a role-playing game. Although, got to admit, I enjoy Pirate Borg more than the more recent of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Right, so we've got some ships there. Now we've got a bunch of maps. Once again, we're not going to look at each and every one. I do want to give you a really good feel for what's inside. I can tell you right now, this is just absolutely packed. So some battle maps here. I'm guessing we'll have one that's just empty ocean. Yep, there we go. So is this a map of the Dark Caribbean? It is Pelican Island, which I believe is the adventure. Got a few more. It's like that's the ship, or one of the ships. Yep, there you go, deck plan. And then a side view. Nice, very nice. Like I said, we got a few more of those as well. We have a pad of character sheets. One of the cool things about Pirate Borg, roll up characters really quickly and get right on into the action. There is no hour-long character creation, about 10 minutes and you're good to go. Rules-wise, very, very easy to pick up and run with also. And these are also character sheets. Are these NPC sheets? They might be. No. They are character sheets, but we also have these dry erase character sheets. How cool is that? Awesome. And it looks like it's giving us kind of a breakdown of the different character classes too. Oh, that is really nice. Get the background info. That's cool. That's a nice touch. Like I said, right off the bat, this is just loaded down with a lot of goodies. Here's our player's guidebook. I called it the player's handbook. As I mentioned, I have seen this on Drive-Thru RPG. It's $9.99. I gotta be honest, far better deal to get everything for $19.99. So if you want to grab it right away, be sure to get that over at limithron.com. And of course, if you want to hold out till it's available on Drive-Thru RPG so you can use our affiliate links, that is always appreciated as well. Like I said, we should see that within just probably a few days because, as I mentioned, this is supposed to be out in stores in March. And I thought it was supposed to be like March 4th. So I believe it's the first week of March. All right, so credits page. So let's make sure that we give Luke Stratton all the credit we possibly can. And there's other folks like his brother who work on Pirate Borg too. But Luke is the mastermind behind Pirate Borg. So here is our credits page. Also have some credits here as well. Let's give credit to those folks also. So yes, I don't want to imply that Tyler Stratton does not invest a lot of time and energy into Pirate Borg. He certainly does. In fact, I interviewed him at Gamehole Con because Luke wasn't there. We had a lot of fun. It's a fun interview. All right, so gonna skip pages here, just so you know. But just to give you a quick peek inside. And another cool thing about Pirate Borg is that it's right to the point. So there is not a lot of additional fluff that's in the rule book to get you right into the action ASAP. So here are some of the classes here. The Buccaneer is one of them. Now, some of this artwork is brand new. Some of this artwork I have seen before with the core book, which I have reviewed, loved it. If you're kind of curious about the core book, by all means, check out my review. Here's the Zealots, the Haunted Soul, which is actually an optional character class. So if you want to do everything randomly, you certainly can. So if you want to randomly create a player character and seriously do it randomly, you certainly can. You can roll a 6-sided die that's going to tell you what is your class. You're going to get your attributes, your abilities, as well as your equipment, all randomly. I got to say, just taking a peek at this player's guide, this is really going to get you into the game really fast, just like the core book. So, of course, the core book is loaded with, a bestiary. It's got a gazetteer. It gets really into the setting itself also. Here it looks like this is mainly just looking to get the core rules and everything in front of the players and game masters. And then the setting information is going to be present in the adventure booklet. I could certainly see having the starter set as well as the core rule book because we had all these extras, right? We got the dice. This set of dice right here would probably run $15 in a store because they are big, chunky, nice, deep cuts on these dice. And then, of course, you got the adventure booklet, the tokens, the maps. So really, I could honestly see a lot of people who already have the core book and love Pirate Borg picking up the starter set too. So we've got the naval combat rules, what your crew members can do, because Each of the player characters will have their own role on the ship. So there you go. So that is a peek at the player's guidebook. Now here is Trapped in the Tropics. This is the adventure that's included with this. And it's my understanding that this is an adventure that's going to take multiple sessions of play. And when I say multiple sessions of play, I don't mean 2 or 3, that there's a lot in here. That's something else about the Pirate Borg adventures that I've seen to this point. They are packed with content. There's a lot going on because they're really toolboxes as far as creating the adventure. It's not just a very linear plotted tale. There's loads and loads of emergent play that goes on in a Pirate Borg campaign. So once again, we've got our credits here and there as well. So Tyler is the quartermaster. There we go. Nice. See what the adventure summary is. The PCs have been hired by the Spanish Inquisition. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition to investigate a shipwreck in the jungles. I wonder if there's any comfy chairs around. They're told it's filled with treasure, but the only thing of real value on board is part of a map that leads to nearby Pelican Island. We already saw that map, where a newly awakened volcano will soon erupt. In secret, the Inquisition is searching for the Tongue of Thoth, a powerful artifact. I bet you that was the card that we saw. And I said, oh, I wonder if that's a magic item. Tone, style, and inspiration. Pirate Borg can accommodate many different styles and moods of gameplay, often many in the same session. And you can intentionally inject elements from different tropes to push the tone towards one style or another. Here are some styles and examples to consider. So we've got swashbuckling, horror, lighthearted, humorous, grimdark, historical/political, and paragons of the genre. GM tenants default to yes. You are not playing against your players. You're the person that is the most responsible for making sure they have fun. How true is that? So do that. Let them try, let them fail, let them figure it out. But default to being their biggest fan. Definitely like that. Make dice rolls exciting. Don't ask for dice rolls unless the outcome is important and failure is interesting. Like, you are in charge of the rules, of the setting, of the NPCs, of vibes at the table. Essentially everything except the PCs and their actions. Try to avoid diminishing player agency by telling players how their characters feel or react. That's up to them. I love that. We talk about that all the time. When I'm reviewing a role-playing game adventure, in fact, there is a box set. I'm not going to get into the publisher or anything like that, that I was super excited to check out. Then I got into it and I was like, everywhere I turned, there was read aloud. And a lot of the read aloud was basically telling the players how their characters felt and what their characters would do. I was like, oh, no. So yeah, I ended up not doing a review of it because it was going to get a pretty negative review. All right, just taking a peek through. Yes, so that was the item that we saw the card for, the Tongue of Thoth. And of course, I am skipping a bunch of pages here. So here we have part 1, Eel Island. We've got an encounter table, breakdown of the map itself. So we have some keyed locales. So give you an example of how the key locations are presented. Actually, we'll go back. Okay, so as an example, we see Redcoat's boat, a wide sandy beach with picturesque palms and several sandbars off the coast. 2 Redcoats, a soldier and a gunner, guard a longboat. They are waiting for their detachment to return from patrolling the island. They will flee in the longboat if possible at the first sign of trouble and return to St. Martin to inform their superiors. Get a little stat blocks for the redcoats, as well as the longboat. Now, once again, we already saw we've got cards for these too. If you're curious about the production quality, very, very nice paper stock. Of course, this looks like this is simply stapled, as was the player's guide, but still, this should hold up very, very nicely. Artwork, super cool. The font, honestly, is a little small, but I'm having absolutely no problem reading it. So as an example, Scrub Island, across a narrow channel from Eel Island, 0.3 miles, easily swimmable, lies Scrub Island, named for its use as a spot where buccaneers and smugglers would scrub the barnacles off their ships. It has grown into a popular pirate haven built from the shipwrecks and debris known as Scrub Island Outpost. But as you can see, we have bolding for things that are important for you to know, or if there's a stat block for it or a card for it. I guess those were a couple of important NPCs for Scrub Island that we just saw there. So we've got the sea. Here we've got our boats and ships. Part 3, St. Martin. Hey, before the volcano erupts, what's happening? As I pointed out, a lot of random tables with the adventures. So, of course, no two tables are going to have the same experience with a Pirate Borg adventure. So what's happening here? D6, encounters D6, rumors, hooks, and jobs D6. So that's before the volcano erupts. Then we got things after the volcano erupts. Looks like this is about 55 pages in length or so. There's Pelican Island. And then it looks like this is wrapping it up. It's a trap! These traps are designed specifically to catch zombies on Eel Island, but they can easily be adapted for other scenarios. So you are looking at a D12 for the trap. You would roll it again for the bait. You'd roll it again for the trigger, roll for the states, and roll for the complication. Very nice. And there is our map here. And it looks like we've got St. Martin and Eel Eye, as well as Scrub Isle. So there's Trapped in the Tropics. The player's guidebook was about 80 pages. Let's see. Maybe not quite that long. Oh, wait, hang on. Numbers are up top. I'm looking down here. I'm like, where is it? Actually, it is 80, but we also have kind of our Game Master screens here. Sweet. All right. So let's put all of this back in. Oh, so funny enough, I think this is supposed to stand up, because if you look the bottom here, there's still more info. Same with this one. So you'd actually, if you wanted, you could stand it up. Whoops, stand it up like this. That's fun. That's also another cool little extra that's been provided. So we have got the erasable character sheets, the pad of character sheets, got all the various different maps and deck plans and such. We've got the 3 punch boards of tokens. Got the deck of cards. Well, actually, there are a few different decks in here. Trapped in the Tropics. The player's guidebook. The super cool black dice. Nice chunky dice. They are, like I said before, really deeply cut too. So I definitely dig that. Then we've got our cards, and that is what we find inside the Pirate Borg starter set from Limithron and Free League Publishing. Of course, I will have a review of the starter set as quickly as I possibly can because I know a lot of folks out there are very curious about this starter set. All right. So that is it for this time out. If you like the Gaming Gang and would like to support the outlet, you can do so in a few ways. First, by utilizing our affiliate links to the One Bookshelf sites, such as Drive-Thru RPG. To do so, simply visit thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a 5% commission on those sales. Of course, you can also make a one-time donation by way of PayPal or become a monthly member of our Patreon. You'll find links in the show notes. Also in those show notes, you'll find an invite link to our Discord server. It's absolutely free to sign up and hang with the gang over on Discord. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. And if you ring the bell, make sure you select all notifications. That way, you'll be informed whenever I share a video such as this first look, as well as be notified when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news and more. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.